over 60, these 3 healthy vegetables may be hurting your kidneys. Doctor warning. If you are over 60, stop for just 5 seconds. Because one of the foods quietly putting pressure on your kidneys every single day may already be sitting in your kitchen right now. And chances are, you believe it is helping your health. Before we begin, I want to ask you something simple. What age are you watching from today? And have you ever been told your kidney numbers were slightly off, your blood pressure was hard to control, or noticed swelling in your feet or ankles? Let me know in the comments below because your story may help someone else feel less alone. And if you care about staying healthier, stronger, and more independent as you age, please take 1 second to subscribe to Healthy Wisdom for Seniors because every week, I share simple, practical, science-informed health and food guidance designed especially for adults over 60 who want to feel better, stay independent longer, and make smarter choices without confusion. I'm Dr. David, and after years of caring for older adults, I've learned something important. Sometimes the foods we trust the most quietly become harder for the body to handle after 60. Now let's begin. If you often wake up during the night to urinate, notice swelling in your feet by evening, feel unusually tired even after a full night of sleep, or your doctor has ever mentioned words like creatinine, kidney function, eGFR, or potassium levels, please stay with me because what I'm about to share could help you understand your body in a completely different way. You see, most people believe kidney problems always come with pain. Something dramatic. Something obvious. But the truth is very different. Your kidneys are often silent. They do not scream. They whisper. Quietly. Patiently. Sometimes for years. And that silence is exactly what makes kidney problems so dangerous after 60. Because by the time many people discover there is an issue through blood work, kidney function may already be lower than expected. That is why what you eat every day matters more than people realize. And here is something that surprises many older adults. Sometimes the foods placing pressure on your kidneys are not fast food, junk food, or desserts. Sometimes they are foods you honestly believe are helping your health. Foods sitting in kitchens across America right now. Foods many people proudly call healthy. Tomatoes, potatoes, vegetable juices, homemade comfort meals. After age 60, the body changes. Even if you feel healthy, kidneys naturally become less efficient than they once were. The filtering system that worked effortlessly at May 30th no longer work exactly the same at 60, 70, or 80. And if you also have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart issues, take medications regularly, or your doctor has mentioned reduced kidney function, certain foods may quietly become harder for your body to process. Today, I want to show you 3 vegetables many people over 60 eat regularly that may quietly overload aging kidneys when used the wrong way. But more importantly, I'll also show you 3 smarter choices that may help your kidneys feel less burdened while still allowing meals to feel comforting, satisfying, and enjoyable. And the first one surprises almost everyone because it is found in pasta, soups, sandwiches, pizza, salads, sauces, and many meals people proudly call healthy. I'm talking about tomatoes. Now before you panic, let me say something clearly. Fresh tomatoes are not the enemy. A few slices in a salad or on a sandwich are usually not a major concern for many people. The problem often begins when tomatoes become concentrated. Tomato sauce, tomato paste, tomato soup, ketchup, marinara sauce, canned tomato products. Because when tomatoes are cooked down, their minerals become more concentrated too, especially potassium. Now, potassium itself is not bad. In fact, your body needs potassium. It helps your muscles move, your nerves communicate, and your heart beat properly. A healthy younger adult can often remove extra potassium without much trouble. But after 60, especially if kidney function has slowed down, things can become more complicated. Because when kidneys cannot remove potassium efficiently, it may begin building quietly inside the bloodstream. And here is the dangerous part. You usually do not feel dramatic warning signs at first. Maybe you feel more tired than usual. Maybe your muscles feel weaker. Maybe your heartbeat occasionally feels strange. Maybe your blood pressure becomes harder to manage. But many people dismiss these signs. They say, well, maybe I'm just getting older. But sometimes your kidneys are quietly asking for help. I once spoke to a retired man in his late 60s who genuinely believed he was doing everything right. He stopped eating fried food. avoided soda, started cooking at home more often. Every weekend, he proudly made homemade pasta sauce using olive oil, herbs, garlic, and tomato paste. He told me, "Dr. David, I finally cleaned up my diet." But over time, something changed. He began feeling weaker, more tired, short of breath after simple activities. Sometimes his heart felt like it skipped a beat. When blood work finally came back, his potassium levels were much higher than expected. The problem was not fast food. The problem was something he trusted too much in a form his body could no longer handle as easily. And this is one of the hardest truths about aging. The body changes. The kidneys change. What worked at 35 does not always work the same way at 65. So does this mean you should never eat tomatoes again? Absolutely not. This is not about fear. It is about wisdom. Fresh tomatoes in moderation may still fit beautifully into your meals. But instead of covering dinner in thick tomato sauce every night, think smaller portions. Think balance. Try using herbs, roasted vegetables, garlic, onions, lemon juice, or lighter homemade sauces for flavor instead of relying heavily on concentrated tomato products every single day. Because healthy eating after 60 should never feel like punishment. And before we move to the next food, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had blood work come back slightly abnormal, only to be told not to worry too much? Maybe your creatinine was a little high. Maybe your eGFR was lower than expected. Or maybe your blood pressure suddenly became harder to control. If that sounds familiar, let me know in the comments below because your story may help someone else watching today feel less alone. Now, the next vegetable may surprise you even more because it feels warm, comforting, and familiar. It reminds many people of holidays, family dinners, and meals made with love. In fact, millions of Americans believe this food must be healthy simply because it is baked instead of fried. I'm talking about potatoes. Now let me be very clear here because balance matters. Potatoes are not poison. They are not bad foods. But when it comes to kidney health after 60, potatoes are one of the most misunderstood foods people eat. Many older adults believe, if it's baked, homemade, and not fried, it must be healthy. But when kidneys become weaker, the concern is not always oil or fat. The concern may be potassium again. One medium-baked potato can contain a surprisingly high amount of potassium. Sweet potatoes can too. And when someone eats mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole, roasted potatoes, or baked potatoes in the same meal, potassium adds up faster than most people realize. Imagine a woman in her 60s trying her very best to eat healthier. She gave up soda, cut back on sugar, stopped eating fast food. During a family holiday dinner, she enjoyed mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, and roasted potatoes because everything looked homemade and harmless. Later that evening, she felt lightheaded, weak. Her heart felt strange. Eventually, doctors discovered her potassium levels had climbed much higher than expected. She said something I will never forget. "But doctor, I thought I was eating healthy food." And she was right. She was not eating junk food. She was simply eating foods her body no longer handled the same way. And if you are over 60, this is something you deserve to hear. Your body is not betraying you. It is changing. And wisdom means learning how to change with it. So does this mean you must never eat potatoes again? No, not necessarily. But preparation matters. Portion size matters. One helpful trick many kidney specialists recommend is peeling potatoes, slicing them thinly, soaking them in water for several hours, then boiling them in fresh water. This may help lower some potassium compared to eating large baked potatoes whole. And portion size matters too. A smaller serving may feel much gentler on aging kidneys than piling half the plate with potatoes. But potatoes are still not the most deceptive food on this list. Because the next one is promoted everywhere online as a superfood. People drink it every morning believing it detoxes the body, boosts circulation, improves energy, and supports heart health. I'm talking about beets. I'm talking about beets, beet juice, beet shots, beet smoothies, bright red drinks that look incredibly healthy. And to be fair, for some people with strong kidney function, beets may absolutely offer benefits. But after 60, especially for someone managing high blood pressure, diabetes, medications, or reduced kidney function, things become more complicated. Because beets contain two things older adults should pay attention to: potassium and oxalates. Now, oxalates are natural compounds found in certain foods. For some people, especially when kidneys are already under strain, too much oxalate may contribute to crystal formation and place additional stress on the kidneys over time. And here is where many people accidentally get into trouble: concentration. Eating a few roasted beets with dinner is very different from drinking a large glass of concentrated beet juice every morning. One glass of juice may contain far more beets than you would normally eat in a meal without even realizing it. Imagine pouring thick material into an old coffee filter. At first, things move slowly but still work. But over time, more pressure builds. Your kidneys can sometimes feel the same way after decades of hard work. I remember speaking to a gentleman in his late 60s who proudly told me he had started drinking beet juice every morning because social media said it was one of the best detox drinks for older adults. He truly believed he was helping himself. But several months later, his kidney numbers had become harder to manage, and his doctor advised him to be much more careful with concentrated foods. This is why online health advice can sometimes become dangerous. A healthy 30-year-old athlete is not the same as a 68-year-old managing medications, blood pressure, diabetes, and changing kidney function. Different body, different needs, different risks. So before following every health trend online, remember this: not every superfood is right for every stage of life. And before I show you the foods that may actually help take pressure off your kidneys, let me ask you something important. Have you ever been surprised by a food your doctor told you to limit, even though you thought it was healthy? Tell me in the comments below, because I read as many comments as I can, and your experience may help someone else realize they are not alone. And stay with me, because the next foods may surprise you. One of them may already be sitting quietly in your kitchen and could be one of the easiest swaps for healthier kidneys after 60. Now at this point, you may be wondering something very important. If certain vegetables can quietly place more pressure on aging kidneys, then what should you actually eat after 60? And this is where things become encouraging. Because the goal is not fear. The goal is not removing every food you enjoy from your plate. The goal is learning how to make smarter choices that help your body carry less burden, while still enjoying meals that feel warm, comforting, and satisfying. And the first vegetable I want you to think about may surprise you because it is not flashy. No trendy headlines, no miracle claims, no expensive powders or wellness ads. But quietly, it may be one of the smartest foods for aging kidneys. I'm talking about cauliflower. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. Cauliflower? Really? Dr. David? But hear me out. After years of caring for older adults, I have learned something important. Sometimes the foods that help us most are not exciting. They simply make life easier for the body. One reason cauliflower deserves attention is because it is generally much lower in potassium than foods like potatoes. And for someone trying to reduce extra strain on aging kidneys, that difference matters more than people realize. Think of your kidneys like an old friend who has quietly worked for you every single day for decades. Through stressful years, through medications, through illnesses, through late nights and busy seasons of life. Your kidneys have filtered your blood thousands upon thousands of times without asking for attention. But after 60, they often need a little more support than they once did. And sometimes that support starts with simple swaps. Imagine sitting down to dinner and instead of a large plate of mashed potatoes, you try creamy mashed cauliflower made the right way. Steamed until soft. Blended with garlic, herbs, a drizzle of olive oil, maybe a little black pepper. Still warm. Still comforting, still satisfying, but potentially much gentler on your kidneys. And that matters because one of the biggest mistakes people make after 60 is believing healthy eating has to feel miserable, bland, dry, flavorless, like punishment. But protecting your kidneys should not feel like losing joy. It should feel realistic, sustainable, something you can actually continue doing for years. Cauliflower can be roasted until golden around the edges, added to soups, lightly sautéed, mashed, even blended into comforting meals that still feel familiar. And because it absorbs flavor so beautifully, Ingredients like garlic, herbs, onions, and lemon can make it taste far more satisfying than people expect. Because after 60, real health is often built quietly. One lighter meal today, one smarter choice tomorrow. Small decisions repeated consistently over time. That is what truly makes a difference. But cauliflower is not the only vegetable that deserves a place in your kitchen, because there is another food many people overlook, even though it may help reduce reliance on heavy sauces, excess salt, and overly processed flavoring. I'm talking about red bell peppers. Now honestly, many people treat red bell peppers like decoration. A few slices in a salad, a little color on the side of the plate, but they deserve much more attention than that. Especially if you are trying to eat in a way that feels lighter and easier on the body after 60. One reason red bell peppers are so helpful is because they offer something many people struggle with when trying to eat healthier: flavor. Let's be honest for a moment. One reason many people give up healthy eating is because the food suddenly feels boring. The doctor says reduce salt, eat lighter, avoid heavy sauces, but nobody explains how to make meals still taste good. That is where red bell peppers quietly shine. Roast them until soft and slightly sweet. Blend them into sauces instead of depending on thick tomato paste every single day. Add them to soups, stir-fries, salads, or simple dinners. They bring natural sweetness, color, texture, and comfort without making meals feel overly heavy. I remember speaking with a man in his early 60s who had been trying very hard to improve his health. He gave up soda, stopped eating fast food, reduced sugar, started cooking more meals at home. But even though he believed he was eating healthier, he still felt sluggish after meals and his blood pressure remained difficult to manage. When we talked about what he was eating, he realized almost every dinner still relied heavily on thick tomato sauces, canned soups, or salty flavorings because he thought those were the easiest ways to make food taste good. Slowly, he began experimenting with roasted vegetables, especially red bell peppers, herbs, garlic, onions, and lighter homemade sauces. Something changed. His meals still felt satisfying, still comforting, but they no longer felt so heavy afterward. And that is what I want you to remember. Healthy eating after 60 does not mean giving up flavor. It means learning how to create flavor differently. But there is one more ingredient I want to talk about because chances are, it may already be sitting quietly in your kitchen right now. Small, inexpensive, easy to overlook, yet surprisingly powerful for helping meals taste better while supporting healthier habits after 60. I'm talking about garlic. Now let me say something clearly because honesty matters. Garlic is not magic. It will not cure kidney disease. It will not replace medication. And it is certainly not a miracle shortcut. But garlic does offer something very valuable. It helps food taste wonderful without depending on too much salt. And that matters because high blood pressure remains one of the biggest reasons kidney function slowly declines over time. Think about your heart and kidneys as teammates. Your heart pumps blood. Your kidneys filter blood. When blood pressure stays too high for too long, the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys experience constant strain. Day after day, month after month, year after year. Eventually, filtering becomes harder. That is why reducing sodium matters so much after 60. But here is the challenge. Nobody enjoys bland food, especially after a lifetime of family dinners, favorite meals, and comforting traditions. Food should still feel enjoyable. Garlic can help make healthy eating feel realistic again. Fresh garlic added to soups, vegetables, fish, chicken, cauliflower, or roasted peppers can completely transform flavor without relying on extra salt. Here is a simple trick I often recommend. After chopping or crushing fresh garlic, let it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. This allows natural compounds to develop more fully. Then cook it gently and try not to burn it because burnt garlic quickly turns bitter. Sometimes the smallest habits quietly create the biggest results. I remember a woman in her 60s who struggled for years trying to reduce sodium because every healthy meal tasted dull to her. She felt frustrated, restricted, like eating healthy meant giving up joy. But slowly she changed how she cooked. Garlic, herbs, lemon juice, onion, pepper. Simple ingredients. Over time, eating healthier stopped feeling like punishment and started feeling normal, comfortable, sustainable. And that is important because healthy habits only work if you can actually keep doing them. Now, before we finish, I want to remind you of something very important. Today is not about fear. Tomatoes are not evil. Potatoes are not evil. Beets are not evil. The real question is this: what does your body need right now? Because after 60, things change. Kidneys change. Medications change. Health conditions change. And wisdom means learning how to adapt with your body instead of fighting against it. Maybe fresh tomatoes still fit beautifully into your meals, but heavy tomato sauce every single night no longer works the same way. Maybe a smaller portion of potatoes feels fine, while large servings become too much. Maybe occasional roasted beets still work for you, while concentrated beet juice every morning may not be the best fit anymore. Meanwhile, simple choices like cauliflower, red bell peppers, and garlic may help meals feel lighter while still tasting delicious. And if there is one message I hope stays with you after today, it is this: your kidneys are quiet. They do not scream for attention. They whisper, through fatigue, through swelling, through blood pressure changes, through lab numbers that slowly shift over time. And silence does not mean nothing is happening. Your kidneys have worked for you every single day for decades, through stressful years, through illness, through long nights, through thousands upon thousands of meals. So maybe this stage of life is not about perfection. Maybe it is simply about saying, thank you, and I'm going to take better care of you now. Before you go, I want to ask you something. What is one food you eat almost every single day? And have you ever had your kidney numbers checked, like creatinine, eGFR, or potassium? Let me know in the comments because your story may help someone else feel less alone. And if today's video helped you, please take 1 second to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Healthy Wisdom for Seniors for more simple, practical, easy-to-follow health guidance designed to help you stay healthier, stronger, and more independent as you age. And remember this: getting older does not mean getting weaker. Your body can still adapt, still improve, still surprise you. Sometimes better health begins with one simple choice at dinner tonight. Take care of yourself, my friend. I'm Dr. David, and remember, your body has carried you through a lifetime. It deserves patience, kindness, and better choices. I hope you have a peaceful, healthy, and energetic day.